Welcome to Reset with Ball and Doggett, a conversation connecting our industry. I'm Zadie Jackson, Business Development Manager for Ball and Doggett. And there is nothing wrong with change if it's in the right direction, a quote that I subscribe to by Winston Churchill. And today that's exactly what our session is all about. Change and opportunities as well as new platforms. Exciting news released last week when the Women in Print announced that they would be partnering with the Real Media Collective, building a strong community, inclusive network enriched with knowledge and support for all women across our industry. This statement was shared in their press release, and these are also the 4 pillars that frame the ethos of Women in Print. I am very pleased to explore this today with the lovely Kelly Northwood, CEO of the Real Media Collective, and Kirsten Taylor in her capacity of the Victorian Patron for Women in Print. Ladies, good morning and welcome.
Good morning.
Thank you for being here. Now, before we get into it, I want our viewers to be acquainted with you 2 fierce women that I have utmost respect for. We're going to kick off with Miss Kelly Northwood. Kelly Northwood is the Chief Executive Officer of the Real Media Collective, an industry association representing paper, print, mail, publishing and distribution sectors across Australia and NZ. She provides expertise across brand communication, efficacy of below-the-line channels, corporate and sustainable branding programs, and developing multi-channel marketing communication strategies that deliver results. Kelly has held many senior roles, most recently Executive Director, TSA Limited, and the Chief Executive Officer of the Australian Catalogue Association. She has held group sustainability and marketing roles across the print and mail sectors, with experience working across the Tasman and now the Asia Pacific region. Kelly is a regular contributor to marketing publications, having these recently published in Ad News, BNT, Campaign Brief, just to name a few, as well as media presence across radio and television. Kelly has a strong brand and communication background and emphasis on the retail marketing and linking the holy grail that we know as data to drive results and connect all channels. She holds a Bachelor of Communication, majoring in journalism and postgraduate studies in education and sustainability. To Miss Kirsten Taylor. Kirsten is the creative print director at Tailored Press, which she co-owns with her husband, James. A qualified printer herself, Kirsten is committed to the craft of print. For many years, her role was working in the background and raising children in the workplace, juggling work and family, life as a working mother and wife. When the opportunity arose for her to venture further outside the doors of Tailored Press, she became involved in Women in Print. This became a platform for her to network, connect, and further knowledge about the women in her industry. Also to open opportunities where women of other businesses could talk and relate to one another. On this journey, Kirsten undertook an intensive 12-month course graduating from the Women in Leadership Education pathway. Before long, she became the joint patron of Victoria, to then become the Victorian patron for this exceptional platform. She's excited about where the future of Women in Print is leading and her contribution to this change, believing that the new format will allow for a more inclusive association and industry. Ladies, I'm excited for you to be here, so let's get into it.
Let's do yours, Zadie. You're great.
It's about you guys today. I want to hear about you guys. Kelly, I'm going to start off with you. I've been watching and listening and been speaking to you since March, and you've played a significant role supporting all the Real Media Collective members in real time and sometimes at a 24-hour turn clock since March. And I know personally you've been pushing a lot of personal boundaries, ensuring the focus has been on the members, and it's about education, it's about partnering, it's about creating and facilitating webinars and meeting with government and providing practical intel and documents and direction, along with maintaining open dialogue with other industry bodies. I want to know how you are.
I'm very well. I think, I've been in this industry a very, very long time. Sometimes I think the wrinkles are showing, but 20 years, it was actually in April was my 20-year anniversary in the thick of COVID and pandemic. And, a lot of what I do is sort of I'm doing for my friends, the people I've worked with before, members who've been members for many years. It's a genuine passion and care. And yes, the collective is an industry association. We have a lot of work to do, particularly in crisis times, like we all have faced over the past 6 months, and now recovery times. That's, I guess, when associations really stand up and show their stripes. But look, some of the hours have been a little, you wait for a press release to come out, you've got to get it out quickly. This is the reason why I've got some bags under my eyes.
Look amazing.
About that, because I think we need to, everybody is doing everything they can at the moment, and it's almost like we're all on the front line, we're all in the thick of it for our businesses and our industry, that there is no hesitation. And I've got government policy in a lot of this has been very quick and very swift, but I will give government credit, both state and federal. They've really been very open to listening to us, talking with us. They've guided us. Look, we need a bit more data in that regard. So it's been a lot easier than what it has been 12 months ago, where you'd be sort of knocking and marching around Parliament. So silver lining. There is silver lining in all this.
And I love that positive outlook, because transparency and data through a recovery phase, or working towards a recovery phase, is critical for all industries. And I think you've really been exemplary for our industry. So thank you. Mrs. Kirsten Taylor, you've joined me before, but that was previously, and we are now in stage 4 lockdown. How are you and your family coping through this period right now?
It's obviously quite a difficult time for everybody. We're so fortunate to be able to keep operating in our business, and that gives you hope and inspiration, that things will be okay. That little bit of normality. My eldest daughter is a registered nurse, and she's working in aged care at the moment, so I'm seeing lots of different aspects of what's happening around at the moment, and just that passion inside everybody to just keep going and just to get there gives you the little bit of hope that everything's fine. But there's been lots of stuff going on, and obviously with inside my business, it's been quite stressful. Everyone worries about money, and everyone worries about how it's going to look at the end of where we're at right now, and that's quite stressful. But on the outside, I've got all these other little voluntary roles and things that I get involved in, and I'm super passionate about. So, and especially, Pack Print is on hold a little bit at the moment, so there's not a lot involved in that. But with the significant change and the growth of the area and women in print that we've been working on, that's been really hopeful, something to look forward to.
And both of you have just displayed firstly passion, but also a really great mindset. And I think coming through these challenging times, that really is a foundation of acceptance and showing vulnerability too throughout what is still an uncertain time for a lot of us. But I want to step into the Real Media Collective with you, Kel. It's such a pertinent part of our industry in Australia. Could you share with some of our viewers, who are some of the design and creative community that may not understand who the Real Media Collective is, and what are the key focuses?
Real Media Collective, I hate to actually use this term, so I'll use it, but I'll say it with a big disclaimer that we are an industry association. But the reason why I say that with a bit of a disclaimer is because industry associations, I think, have lost their way a little bit. They sort of became a bit bureaucratic and became very legacy focused, and we don't view ourselves as that at all. In fact, when we merged 3 industry associations together and we were working through what to name ourselves, we didn't want to be called the Real Media Association. We wanted to think about that word, and the collective was a really important part of what we're doing. We are a collective of businesses that represent an industry, and that industry is real media, real coming from our heritage of print and magazines, catalogues, brochures, direct mail, things we can hold. But also we know that we do a lot of digital partnerships between digital and printed mediums, and we wanted to show real, also relating to real results, so real research and statistics that support our print and print marketing channels that we all represent. And so what the collective does for designers and agencies is we have a lot of designers and agencies that are members, and we help them with all variety of things, how they can demonstrate great initiatives across our media channels to their customers, and design great direct mail, for example. We provide information, education, fact sheets. We lean on our print members to print some beautiful examples. We collect case studies of how they've done it well. We run magazines, but we also represent the industry. We lobby for the industry. We provide industrial relations and HR support for the industry. We put in government submissions and sit on committees for the industry. So when, sometimes those things you don't really see what's that all mean. It's kind of invisible. But in a particular pandemic like we're in now, everyone's starting to realise, oh, right, that's what you're doing when you're talking with government. So a lot of those things are really helpful. And now we're also doing more webinars and training and education. And of course, we also run the secretariat for amazing organisations like Women in Print and ARPIA and a couple of others. So we do lots of bits and pieces, and a lot of people say it started off with print, then we became mail, then we publishing, this packaging, and this is a bit of a phrase, you sit too close to the collective and they'll take you over, but it's not quite like that. It's just, as an umbrella, we all work so much better together than running off separately, and that's why we call ourselves the collective. We're not sort of hungry engines or anything like that, but we want to work together with everybody, and we do that with other, industry associations like ARPIA and Visual Connections, and of course now Women in Print, because it's an independent entity.
Absolutely, and it's an exciting time, and I think that's the real message here. It's a collective experience, and we are all in. I mean, it's a term that's been thrown around, or we're all in this together, but it is literal. There is no twos and ahs about it, So, and I think you guys do an amazing job at what you do and connecting everybody seamlessly, because that can come with its own, set of challenges. But I think you guys do a great job. Miss Kirsten, we have to congratulate you, because you just recently at the 37th Annual PVCA Awards won the inaugural Women in Print Award, which is fitting, and presented by Sam Dobie, the chair for the Demon Award. So congratulations for that.
Thank you very much. I'm pretty grateful to have received that award, because it comes from a place of hard work and observation and growth and leadership, and it's offering a great platform to be able to look where I'm at and how I can use that to inspire others. So if I can give something back from this, then that will be a beautiful outcome.
And I think that's a really lovely way to put it, and you're in the right position as Women in Print. So I would love you to share with us Women in Print. It's a platform, I've enjoyed. I've sat on panels with Cal at those amazing breakfasts, and we've had a lot of fun, and I think the value that it brings to our industry is it's strong and it's positive. So share with us, who is Women in Print? And I think the legacy's been 15 years strong, is that correct?
Yes. So Women in Print, and this as if you go to www.womeninprint.com.au, you'll see that it says that Women in Print is, as the name suggests, it's a collaboration of women in the print media industry, and this group acts as a support team, offering opportunities to network while benefiting women from all walks of life in and around our industry. So that comes off our website, but it's a place where women have had the opportunity to hear from other like-minded women, or women who they aspire to, or they're looking for networking or inspiration. And it's grown in succession from year to year with an abundance of empowering keynote speakers, and also a panel of industry women, as you've just discussed, people like yourself and Callie, who've given your time to come in and have a chat, to openly and honestly talk about their roles in our industry, because it just gives that point of connection to make you feel like, oh gosh, I familiarise myself with that.
Thank you for that. And I'm so excited for this next question, because it's the unravel, right? So, and the new direction is fresh. The website looks fantastic. there's really a renewed sense of community and partnership and support, particularly through this time. And I think the timing for launching it is perfect. I would just like to add. How did the union of Real Media Collective and Women in Print come about? What can we expect? This is an open question. Kel, do you want to kick off?
Oh, I just nagged them into submission. No, I said earlier, I've been in this industry for 20 years and I'm a woman. So, I have been involved with Women in Print for a number of years. And one of the original founders, obviously Susan Heaney, who's our chair, but also a very, very dear friend of mine, Karen Goldsmith. She and I would sort of work on different events and panels and have done for a good 10, 15 years. So I've always been involved in some way. And we were just working, I was sort of at one of the events last year and just talking about what could we do more together, how could we do things more collectively, how could we amplify the message of Women in Print by sharing resources and connecting into our audience and peers. And so from there it just evolved on what sort of things we could do together and how we could. There was a genuine sense from the patrons. Breakfasts are really successful and really empowering. However, it just felt that sort of then it would drop off. We'd have all of this great activity and engagement, but what else could we do throughout the year to really support that Women in Print community? And we had some sort of good ideas and resources to help. So it sort of became a very lovely little marriage, and we're really excited about it.
I think so. Kirsten, you want to add?
Yeah, well, even though, like Cal said, the breakfasts were growing in succession and they were really successful, Visual Connections did an amazing job. It was only a temporary home for Women in Print at that point, and we needed to establish a platform and, who was best for leveraging that into the future with great success. And we talked with the collective and Callie and their interests in taking it to a much larger place where it could really have a fresh new look and feel, and one that sort of encompasses the key directives of community and knowledge and network and support. Yeah. Cal was just fabulous in, bringing the dream of what we'd all wanted, alive. It was wonderful.
And that leads me into the next one. Just talk us through talk us through the goals and really the aim of the rebrand and the relaunch. Kel, you want to kick off?
Yeah, I think, when we first sort of looked at it, we haven't really changed too much. We just wanted to sort of, in the patrons, we got on Zoom, and I think we had a couple of wines one afternoon, and we just kept it really casual about, well, what is Women in Print? And we looked at all of the feedback surveys that people who had attended in the past, women who'd attended the events and what they thought. And we looked at the language, and it was actually quite clear very quickly, those 4 pillars, about sharing knowledge with each other, and that's why we've set up the blog. So we know that we share knowledge and we have guest speakers. So let's have the blogs and have women throughout our industry, throughout the year, just ad hoc write a blog, and we have that in there so we can learn from other. Support, we have our patrons offering support, but how can we also add to that with a mentor program? So you can offer to be a mentor. Men and women can offer to be a mentor. And women can be mentees, which I think is the cutest word. And then you've got networking. I have often thought, I could go off and do something else in another industry, and the thing that sort of holds me back, well, not holds me back, that makes me sort of stay where I am because I love this industry, is also part of my broad network. And networks can be really powerful to not only advancing your careers, but also providing confidence, backup, support, all that sort of stuff. So that's where support came into it. And networking and support and community that's exactly what we are. We are a community of women. And it's not just women working necessarily in print companies. I know a lot of women who've always worked in print trafficking or print production in agency and design, and we really want to encourage those women. In developing some of this, we were speaking with those women, and they were saying, "I think I'm part of the print industry." Of course you are. Come along, and so that was sort of the 4 pillars, and they did really spill out quite easily, didn't they, Kirsten? When we sort of mapped them out, really clear. The strategy was there, wasn't it?
Yeah, it absolutely was. And the direction, once that was given, it was just like tick, 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 away we go. We knew, it was the right place and the right time, the right conversations, and it happened.
Seems to me like the synergy was and the timing was where it's supposed to be. So I think
I just say I have a few boards that I'm answerable to, and this one's the easiest, most efficient. And it's the only one where I'm not the only woman in the rooms. That says a lot, boys. You need to lift your game. Talk about, they were onto it. All the ladies like bang, 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 done. It was terrific.
I think there's a lesson in that comment right there. I want to know from you guys, not only with the Women in Print platform, the collective being such a broad catalyst for supporting our industry, but why is it important for women in our industry to create space and be heard?
That's exciting.
Kirsten, go for it.
Okay. Well, it's known that women just interact differently from men. Cal just said it right then about her board meetings, how different they are, chatting with all women and then, having that difference. So we just interact differently. So there's many of us that face multiple roles in our daily life, from wife to mother to carer, and we push through all of that with our career on top of that. And at the end of the day, we're feeling physically and mentally exhausted most times. And it's nice to have a space where that can be relatable.
Yeah.
And so that we need to let the guard down a little bit and support each other more and encompass what great things that we are able to achieve, because we're great leaders and there are many great female leaders in our industry. So if, to look for inspiration, we just need to look around our industry. We've got amazing, amazing women.
And a lovely platform to elevate each other all the time. Kelly, your response?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, the folder where I keep all of my Women in Print stuff is actually called Diversity and Inclusion. And then in that is the Women in Print. I think that yes, Women in Print is an established brand and an established community, and that provides women a space, and women do need that space. We know, not just me sort of jokingly about my board, but the reality is I have executive committees, 2 boards, and Women in Print board, and on all of those, excluding the Women in Print board, I have 1 woman on those, and that's in the executive committee. And she's actually about to leave the industry, but she will then, and is currently about to be replaced by a man. So in about 2 months, the only board that will have women sitting on those, and across the 4 that I have, is the Women in Print board. Yeah. Now, if that doesn't explain why Women in Print still has a very clear purpose and need in our industry, I don't know what else I can do to explain that to the industry. We need to bring more women into a place of leadership in our industry. We have some brilliant, intelligent female executives in this industry, and we do not have them represented at the highest levels, and they should be. And then that's absolutely that space for women and Women in Print's purpose. And then moving on from that, we've got diversity and inclusion. From sexuality to race to religion, all of it. We have, again, a lot of work to do in this industry and the country, and these are discussions globally, of course, but certainly in our industry we could do a lot more. And I think the Women in Print patrons, whilst women is the focus there, they're all very much passionate diversity and inclusion advocates, and that's what was really exciting for me as well.
Absolutely. And that sort of segs me into what do you guys believe to be potentially the greatest challenges for women in our industry and more broadly across the spectrum? Kirsten?
Challenge. I don't know. I think we've just got to stop any self-doubt that might be there. I'll be the first to admit that I do suffer self-doubt. So, if we can push past our own personal boundaries and just take that stand to show we're here and we're intelligent and we're worth a part on the plate as well. So
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. Kel?
I think, yeah, self-belief. Recently, a personal anecdote, it has been a very busy time, and I got grumpy about something, and I had my grumpy trousers on. And women tend to, with anger and that kind of, we tend to emotionalise that anger, and I was grumpy and flustered. Men often will, react differently, far more aggressively, or they'll swear or they'll curse or they'll, and that's not, neither response is a negative response. It's just generally across the psychology parallels. But I had my grumpy trousers on, and I was upset, and I was blaming myself. Now, someone had been a bit of a jerk, to be frank, but I blamed myself immediately. And so I was having a bit of a whinge to my chairman, and he was amazingly supportive and turned me around and got me off and back on track. And I thanked him in a note that later on that night I sort of finishing up my emails. And he wrote back, "Believe in yourself, you're great. Self-belief always comes first." It was just a simple sort of message, and hats off to Matt Aiken, he's a wonderful chairman. It was just a very simple message, and it really resonated with me about how somebody had kind of behaved badly. They didn't need to communicate the way they did, but I took it as my fault. I internalised it. I forgot my self-belief. I forgot that I wasn't behaving badly. And then I let it fluster and evolve all afternoon and get into my headspace. And that really turning around point was that self-believe in yourself, back yourself, Really, I think we have to work harder on almost saying that to ourselves, having a cheat list, 1, 2, 3, when you feel like you're getting into that sort of mindset and how we can overcome that. And I hope that we can sort of build up those in the blogs in Women in Print, and we can sort of start so we can have those little cheat sheets that we do. I would have loved to, and I've certainly written it down on my diary to sort of flick back to, because I don't want to waste an afternoon again on some negative energy, really. And they're the things I want to think more about.
And we do that. I mean, I put up my hand for that as well, and it happens. And I think it's how you respond in that next moment. And you pick yourself up, you put your shoulders back, and you keep moving forward, and you handle business the way you normally do. So I think you're right. I think these blogs are going to be a really empowering tool for a lot of women that potentially don't have a voice, but absolutely deserve to be heard. So I think this is going to be really exciting. I want to step into your fantastic careers, and it doesn't come without learnings. We just spoke about it now, and experiences. And, the three of us are huge advocates for mentorship and succession planning. We've both spoken, I've spoken to both of you about that over the years. And what I'd love you guys to do is just share 1 or 2 key takeouts that created your pathway and brought you basically where you are now. Kirsten?
Okay. My career kind of actually just evolved. It just sort of rolled on, if you would say. So behind the doors of Tailored Press, I was under the mentorship of my husband, into my apprenticeship. I did with Andrew Reedman, who is now a trainer at Holmes Glen TAFE. And it wasn't until I became involved with Women in Print that I was really able to connect with female mentorship. So a lot of that time, that background of mine was from a male-dominated side of it, because in the old days, all your printers, they were all blokes. all the ones with the know-how and the grit behind them, that's what it was. So that was where it came from. But yeah, as I say, when I got involved with Women in Print, I was able to connect to so many more other industry professionals from an expansive list. And Karen Goldsmith, Kelly talked fondly of before, was just an absolute treasure in opening my eyes a little bit and introducing me to the industry. but there's so many industry professionals from, you know, as I said, such an expansive list of industry bodies, and, you know, from editors to everyday contacts, like talking to you about paper. But there's just so many things that have helped me grow and evolve. And I guess the other massive key was pushing myself to do, you know, getting that partial scholarship for Women in Leadership Australia, and actually stepping into that. And, you know, the facilitators and the women that I worked with there were extraordinary. They were an extraordinary gift to me in that space, and that allowed me to grow professionally as well. So, you know, and conversations just like this are the greatest thing to gain knowledge and understanding, and they're so important.
They really are. And thank you for sharing that, Kel.
Career-wise, I planned when I was going to be at uni, I did journalism and Asian studies as a sub-major, or journalism and comms, PR, and then because I wanted to be a foreign correspondent yarn event. That was the plan.
I love that.
It hasn't quite worked out. I went blonde instead of dark hair, and
It's still looking over TV, Callie.
You know, you get there, sort of want to do the other bit. But I went into the journalists, did my cadetship, and they said to go and write a hard news piece, and I came back with this wonderful story, most of which I'd made up, which I thought added a bit of finesse to this story. And the editor said, you need to go down and work in advertising department. So that's how my whole degree was just thrown out the window, and that's how I got into advertising. And from there I went into marketing. And then the recession hit. We talk about COVID and the silver lining. The recession hit in the 90s, and I simply couldn't get a job. I was at coordinator level. I was a junior. No one was hiring juniors to support their managers. That was sort of one of the first things to go. And I took on a temp job, which was at More Business Systems, which was in the largest print company. And I wrote tenders for a year.
Wow.
So, and from there I went into sales and got into print. But what I like about what I'm doing now, which is more industry association or industry representation work, is I get to kind of be a bit of a warrior. I get to fight the cause, fight the good fight, you know. And that has actually allowed me to mix a little bit what Kirsten was saying with lots of different people that I would never have had exposure to if I worked when I did in the past with one company, like a Moore or a Geon or a Finsbury. That was one group of leadership. The pure privilege that I have in this role of being able to work with leaders across, from suppliers to printers to major print groups to smaller print groups to you know, organisations. I was thinking about talking with Morgans this morning, all these sort of guys, small, big, large, in between. And organisations like Kirsten with Tailored Press, and it's just so exciting. And it's so exciting to feel myself develop with all of their support, and feel myself get better at being a warrior, or fight the good fight, if you like, because we do have moments where we stumble and we feel a lack of confidence, but you just pick up the phone, either one of you take my call, and we'll have a chat for half an hour. Revitalised, and off I go. And I'm really privileged. I've got many of those people in the industry, male and female, young and old. So, my career's been not planned, a little bit like Kirsten's, but it's been incredibly diverse. I've loved it. I've never sat still for long. So it's let's take that on, let's do that. So I love that.
I don't think you could sit still.
Fidget too much.
I hear you. I hear you. And I mean, you know, Kirsten, you spoke about mentorship there. Kelly, you spoke about just embracing change as you went through. I know with my career at marketing journalism, I'm back, you know, in paper, and spent my some time with you at Finsbury as well. So, but you know, the greatest mentor I had was the late Gary Wilson, and I'll forever be indebted to him for everything that he passed on to me. And I think that's the power of our industry. You've got diversity, and you've got some great leaders, and we're going to continue to see that, which I'm really excited about. I want to step into something that Real Media Collective really do exceptionally well. And we are going down the road of unknown pathways currently. And I want to look at brands and consumers and statistics on why print, which is what we advocate for, is such an incredibly vital part, particularly now. I mean, I'd love you to share some takeaway stats around for our viewers to demonstrate the importance of the role that print plays, not only in brand equity, but also supporting Australians in these current times. I'll kick off with Kirsten in the first instance, if that's all right.
Sure. Callie's probably the better one to answer those sorts of questions because the collective advocates for print and deals with numbers all the time. So that's the kind of thing. But, from a personal point of view, I will say, though, that there is a demographic of the country that absolutely needs print. They need that information in their hand, and they need it for shopping purposes or information purposes, or they need it to take their mind off whatever's happening around them, and to stay connected. So print shows us that we are connected, especially in a world where at the moment we are very much disconnected from everyone.
Thank you for that. And Kelly, I'm going to give you the floor here because this is the power of RMC and Roy Morgan.
Yeah, I think sometimes we forget that even though the media landscape has been very disruptive, so digital channels coming in do create disruption over the past, probably 5 to 7 years. There is not one holy grail that resolves, from a marketer's perspective, as I have a budget of this much and I'm just going to invest all of it into one channel and I'll be able to do and achieve everything that I wanted to do in the past. We have every media channel, and I'll be agnostic and I believe this honestly, every media channel has its strengths and its weaknesses. And all the media channels, I often talk to marketers and marketing graduates and say, when they say things to me like, I'm going to be a digital marketer, I would respond with, why? You're a marketer.
Yes.
You don't, that'd be like someone saying, I'm going to be a hammer builder. Okay. You can't build a house with a hammer alone, and you can't be a marketer with one digital, one channel alone. So you have many channels in your marketing toolbox and you should use all of those. And I think that that's the first thing. I'm not anti any other channels. Obviously, I'm here to advocate for one very important channel, or print has got a lot of other channels within it. Yep. But that's all the channels work really well together if you know how to. But what we do know is that our industry employs 258,000 Australians across the whole supply to distribution path. That's a massive employer. We are the largest manufacturing employer in the country, and we need to remember that and stand very proudly when we march up to government, because we often get overlooked, a little invisible, but once you start battering around those numbers, we were sitting underneath automotive. Well, we know what's happened to that, and this country needs, particularly in the economic recovery, the rebuild that we are now faced with for the generations that are to come, we need to keep this industry alive and well. We also know, so there's a social conscience around Australia. So 2.5 million Australians don't have internet connectivity in their homes. So how are those people supposed to manage their finances if we can't send them a bill anymore in the mail? How are they supposed to read through their catalogues and work out where they should shop for the best value, or where they can go into some product ranges or get some new ideas? How are they supposed to read some news if they can't get a newspaper or a magazine? Of those 2.5, it's a range of age groups. It's not just one, only old people. We hear all these sort of stereotypes. It's kind of offensive, really. And then you've also got 4 million Australians who only have internet connectivity on their mobile. Well, try running your finances on the mobile. So there's lots of reasons why print still has strong relevance, and a social relevance as well as an economic one with jobs, social reasons. And of course, the most important thing that gets the marketers excited is we're effective. Catalogues are a great example in that, 11.2 million Australians read a printed catalogue compared to 334,000 reading online catalogues. It is not even a discussion as far as I'm concerned.
Great.
It's sometimes digital channels talk about percentage increases. Well, when you start from zero, because you're a new channel, you could have 10 readers and you've had an enormous percentage increase. So I always say to marketers, designers, anybody, don't talk about percentages. Give me eyeballs. How many eyeballs am I going to get looking at my product? And when we do that, the print channels and established channels as well, television and radio, are absolutely through the roof. So digital has a role, but it's not the only, it's just a shiny toy in the room. Everyone needs to just calm the farm, because if you want to talk to 330,000 people, off you go. You want to talk to 11.2 million people?
Yeah.
I'll give you another to have a chat about. So there's my little statistics rant, but we've got to remember we're a big industry. We are a very socially inclusive industry, and we're an incredibly effective industry.
Absolutely. And I think one of the key points here is for us to be able to communicate that information through to key decision makers throughout all these various sectors. And it's not just about print, it's an omni-channel experience. And I think that's the power in getting return on investment for brands and for brand equity as such as well. So thank you for sharing that. I think it's a really powerful experience for our viewers to connect with, again, even if it's a reiteration. So just talk me through some of the greatest challenges and therefore opportunities that we have in our industry currently. Kel, you want to kick off?
I think two challenges. I mean, the self-belief we talked about a little bit, but I also think from a all of industry, I think our industry has to sort of work on, we've got an incredible environmental track record. 87% of paper products in the home are recycled. Compare that to 9.6% of e-waste. Right. We don't, yet we still get sort of tarred with this, we've got to save trees. Print is on sustainably sourced forestry. We tree farm like you have a broccoli. We grow the broccoli, we crop the broccoli, we replant and regrow the broccoli. And tree farms are exactly the same for paper. It's a renewable resource. And I think we need to really amplify that and really make sure that we can stand very proudly on that, because our credentials in the environmental space are very, very high, and we get kicked around a bit by that. So I think that's a challenge that we have to continue to overcome. We know paper straws are better than plastic straws. So let's continue that journey for consumers and even marketers and anybody who's working in the media landscape. And the other challenge, obviously, COVID, we've got to recover, but we have great opportunity to right-size our businesses, to put in best business practices, operational practices. We are working better than ever with our supply partners, better than ever with each other. Yeah. We're sharing ideas in a way that I have not seen in my entire career, which I just love. Yeah. And if we believe in ourselves and remind ourselves that our resilience and strength, it's we can leverage off every silver lining of this crisis period and come out stronger than ever before. I'm more excited for the future than ever. We can get through it.
Can completely agree. Thank you, Kirsten.
I don't think I can top that. I will just say though, we just need to keep being heard. Like Kelly gave those statistics of, being the largest, manufacturing industry in Australia. We need to be heard. Like she said, we're going to march it to Parliament. That's what we need to do. And once they get a real idea of what they're looking at, then all of those other issues Kelly's talking about, those will, they'll all come to fruition about what's going on with the paper and all the rest of it. So being heard is massive.
I think I agree with both of you, and thank you for being so frank with that. I really appreciate it, because it's really about the sustainability, one, of our industry, and two, of the understanding of the consumers of why they're choosing certain to connect to a brand with. So it's the power is in that. And just to close off, we are going through a crazy time, and mindset is everything for everybody right now. You get to choose which direction you want to get up in each day, and it's almost a daily thing right now. But I would love each of you to share a positive experience that you've had in the last few months, whether it's a win or, something at home, personal. Let's, keep it lifted. Let's leave on a really high note. Kel?
I wore Ugg boots to my last board meeting.
That makes me so happy right now.
I was wearing Ugg boots when I received my inaugural Women in Print award. I did have a sparkly dress on, but I had some pink matching Ugg boots, so I'm high-fiving that one, Callie.
I think her heels again. Those back, they can go park themselves on the shelf. I'm getting comfortable shoes from now on.
Yeah.
Absolute gold. I love that. And there's just so much depth in what you've just said. It just encompasses the new working from home environment, the fact that you're working literally, 24/7 around the clock, and you're doing it on your terms and in your Uggies, honey. So well done to you.
And I will just say though, it's so funny because just around the corner from me here, I've got my 11-year-old. She's in grade 6, and she's currently accepting an award for exceptional or outstanding work or something. I can hear her in the background, which is absolutely fantastic for her because, everyone's suffering in one way or another. And, and I think something that we've done differently over in the past months is that it's been nice to feel a sense of community, or, not just in your home, but like in the industry. So conversations that you're getting on emails are starting with, how are you? Or, people are checking in. So there's everyone's looking out for everyone else's well-being, and, the emails are just starting differently and they're ending differently. They end with stay safe or take care, or, it's just that feeling of community and everybody looking out for each other, I've noticed has been a big thing.
I agree with you. And for me, it's something that I'm conscious of as well. But when you receive that in that moment, when you're having one of those days, it just gives you a warm hug. Just those few little words, it really does. Ladies, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you both with us at Reset at Ball and Dogged. Thank you so much for joining me with this session.
Thanks for having me.
It's amazing. I wish you every success in the many hats that you wear in your roles, and in particular with this new venture with Women in Print. So I will remind everyone to jump onto www.womeninprint.com.au and get involved if you want to be a mentor. Reach out to the ladies and express your interest, as well as share your thoughts and your experiences through the blog, and get in touch with them online. I can't stress enough, jump to realmediacollective.com.au. I jump on there at least 2-3 times a week for information, support and guidance myself in my daily work. So thank you. And we're really proud to be a member too, Kelly. As Ball and Dogged. And Cal, for your tireless work, hun, your team have delivered and continue to deliver for our industry and your members, and it's been remarkable. And thank you for your friendship, your fierce passion and advocacy, but most of all, your straight talk and conviction. And Women in Print is going to be in amazing hands with your partnership. Kirsten, your role as the Victorian patron for Women in Print has seen a commitment that is fearless, for success. And I know your role plays a critical part in the success on behalf of the women in the industry in the Victorian chapter, and you advocate for what you believe in. I've spoken to you, I've heard you, and you deliver relevance in these events, and that creates a sense of oneness, which is what we've been talking about. So thank you for the work that you do and will continue to do. To our amazing viewers, we want to thank you for continually supporting us and joining us on our series of Reset with Ball and Dogged. I welcome you all to head below, as we always do, in the description of this video, to read the poignant responses from Miss Kelly Northwood and also Kirsten Taylor about the question being answered about what does optimism look like to you and your business right now. Ladies, thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Zadie, and also a quick shout out to you. I know that this research has been your brainchild. You're doing a tremendous job. It's not, often people just see this, they don't understand. You're researching people beforehand, your questions. We're all well briefed, we're all well prepared. Hats off to you. You talk about our passion and dedication. I don't think either of us can match you. You're a tremendous advocate and ambassador. I love working with you, and you're also a great friend. Gosh, we've had some giggles. And great support. So thank you for doing this. Thank you for having us today and supporting Women in Print. But big shout out to you. Often in your position, you sit there and you're all thanking everybody else and no one does a shout out back. So thanks for Reset and for Ball and Doggett supporting you. But I know this is your baby. You've driven hard to get this set up and running. You're doing a terrific job.
Thanks, Kel. I appreciate that. And, you know, you'll hear me say it all the time. Success is a team sport, and I think we do a hell of a job at Ball and Doggett. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I am looking forward for this going to air. And for now, I'm Zadie Jackson for Ball and Doggett. Everyone stay well. Thanks so much.